This is a quick video on how to create a digital frame for your images in Topaz Studio by Sharon from Sharon Co Images. This mounting technique has essentially three parts to it. The first is the matte underlay, then there's a drop shadow, and then there's the actual image itself. So choose the image that you want to frame, and what I have done is set up some presets. So if you type in to your search frame, you'll see that there's three presets there. So the first part is frame A, which picks your background color for your matte. Now, a nifty trick you can use is to choose a color from your image. Now, if you go to color theme, what this adjustment does is pick out the 5 most prominent colours, and you can choose one of those for your background. So I quite like this one here. If I select that colour, you can see it has actually highlighted its code. Now you can either remember that, or you can do a Control-C to copy, and we will be able to then use that colour for our back matting. So then we can press frame A, and you can see it's just purple at the moment, but we're going to change that to suit our particular image. Now I've saved that as Control-C, so if I then do Control-V, my colour appears. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to press apply, so I have a layer that is the background matting. Then I'll go back to my original image and reset that. I'm going to then apply frame B, which is the drop shadow. And I'm going to press apply to that as well. And I'm going back to my original image again, and I'm going to reset it again. So there I have my three components. So make sure you are on your background matte layer, and then you can go to the original image and drag and drop it on top of the matte layer. We're then going to change the size of the image itself to reveal the background layer, and you want to reveal an adequate amount of the background layer. You then want to center your image. Now, because of the dimensions of both your image and your background, there will be a difference down the bottom here because this is portrait orientation. So if you make sure that the amount of background scene to the left equals the amount of background scene to the right, and it's about the same width as to the top, then that's good. We will trim this after we have put our drop shadow in. So closing that up, we are then going to grab our drop shadow layer and drag and drop it also into this image. And again, we're going to reduce the size. Now we want this size to match the image. So what we can do is move it up until you can just see the edge, and then move it back down. And you'll find if you top and bottom line up, then so will the rest of it. So that should now cover your whole image. Of course, we don't want it to cover the whole image. We want it to be a drop shadow. So what we're going to do is move it slightly down and slightly to the right. So what you should see is you should just be able to see the top and the left of your image. Now we're going to close that up, and we're going to drag that above our actual image. So now we can see we have a drop shadow there. It's a little bit too strong, and we're going to change the blending mode to multiply, and we're going to reduce the opacity down to about 50%, so 0.5. And we have our drop shadow. To add a little bit more interest to this, what you can also do is add a texture. And we're going to add this only to the matte. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to texture, and we're going to select, say, paper and textiles, And there's quite a nice one, I think, here. It's got a little bit of texture to it. Now we don't want that on our image or our drop shadow, so what we can do is drag and drop that at the top of our pile, and you can see now that the texture is applied to the back matting. And if you wanted to, with this texture, you could increase the detail. You might take away any colour that it had in there. Okay. The other thing is, if you decided that you didn't particularly like that colour, you could choose to change the colour of your matting. So if we go back to our original image and go to colour theme again, and instead of the pale green, you might want to make it a little bit brighter, and we might choose, say, this orange here, and it is C7A747, or if we do the Control C to copy that, then what we can do is go back to our image here. We can add a colour overlay. We can change that colour overlay colour to the one that we just had. So our C7A747. Okay, we can bump it up, but we only want that to apply to the bottom of our image or our mat, and so we have a different look there. So once you've done that, I suggest applying. Now this combines the 3 layers together, and I find this is the best way of doing cropping, so it crops the whole image. And you want to make sure that the matting is the same width all around. So we have that. And again, I'm going to apply here. So I have this image. And just as a final step, what you could do is use frame C, which is just a black overlay. So we're going to apply that to our cropped mounted image. We're going to press apply, and back to our cropped matted image. We'll reset that, and we're going to, on the black layer, drag and drop our mounted picture. We're going to reduce the size of that so we can see a little black frame. And again, center this as best you can. You will have to do a little bit trimming at the bottom. So we'll press apply. And one last crop, just so all the edges are the same. And you have your artwork mounted digitally.